A huge reason why I decided to go freelance and not be a full-time employee anymore is because of the drama that I have to deal with unfortunately, the people that matter in the company. And what I mean by that is I have had number one mechanics complain about my presence on social media. And I've had team owners complain about my presence on social media. And I don't know what the fuck it is about social media that people get so goddamn angry over. But it's like, I'm literally doing this because there are so many young ladies out there who are completely discouraged by your shit attitude. Mm. And if you guys just embrace it for just a little bit, maybe get to know who I am as a person. Because I'm sorry, but if you believe everything you see on social media, you're an idiot.
Fasten your seatbelt.
A female mechanic in the Dakar Rally? Bet you never heard that story. On today's episode, we have Heather Holler, who's going to give us all the details of her wild career in the motorsports industry. Let's get to it. It's always interesting to me, females who, for lack of a better word, I know we all wouldn't say it's always bravery. Sometimes we just kind of fall into these positions, but like to jump into industries or spaces that are just so male heavy. There's a lot of times you're the only one or, a very small minority. And I know that can be a huge, not only is the task of what you're learning intimidating or can be, that environment can be intimidating. And I think it takes, I know we were kind of chatting earlier, there's those things take thicker skin.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to work into that and that can be rough.
Yep.
What was that experience like for you?
So before I started working on cars and went to tech school, I was working in the winters as a ski coach and in the summers at the golf courses. And so I remember there was one summer I was watching TV and Jessi Combs was on the TV and it was her Extreme 4x4 show. And I'm like, man, she's doing that. That's because I had a friend that was going to school. I'm like, well, Silvio's already there. So if I went, I wouldn't be completely alone. And she went to tech school. Fuck it. Let's do it. And I even actually had a recruiter from the school. Originally, I had spoken to two different ones. And the first recruiter, because I didn't have the full, my parents were like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And so because they showed that concern, he's like, well, without 100% backing, I just don't think you'll be able to make it. And I'm like, well, I can do this. I can do this. Mm-hmm. So I went anyways. I did. Yeah. I went anyways. And, but it's, so seeing women like Jessi Combs and even Bogey and stuff, doing what they're doing was a really big push or at least a confidence builder. Because I was very, very shy. I was very shy.
Which is so interesting.
I know.
to this individual sitting in front of me now.
I was super, super shy. So I was told one of, the numbers vary from 1 to 2,000 dudes. And when you walk down the halls, it's kind of like you're a walking circus show almost, because all the rooms, they had giant glass walls, even in the hallways, dudes in the classroom oh, there's a chicken here. Yeah. Fuck. Jesus. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
God.
That never goes away, unfortunately.
It's wild.
Yeah.
At Dakar, you're out there for 3 weeks, right? And you're mostly around dudes and me and was one of our co-drivers and one of our physios. We were all having dinner one night, and one of them's like, have you noticed that there's a lot more stairs going on? I'm like, well, yeah, we're week 3 into this when there's mostly dudes everywhere. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about, let's jump into that experience. So, I want to kind of lead into it or at least paint the picture. I am a recent follower of you. And I think I've seen you kind of just in the motorsports realm. I don't know, it was group shots or whatever. I've definitely seen you around. And then something caught my attention several months ago. And I was like, why am I not following this? This looks and then within a couple of weeks, it was I'm going to Dakar. and I was this is a race I look forward to following every year. And so it just was, it was perfect timing because now suddenly like I am like tuned in, like whatever you are doing, I am all on board. So you got to tell me how does that happen? How do you get invited to?
Well, the motorsport world is very small. And so I'm living in Germany. You just meet people all over the world. And well, in motorsport, traveling around WRC, all that stuff. And so I had made an Instagram post that I was going back to freelancing after leaving Hyundai Motorsport. And I think by publicly posting that, all my friends knew what was going on. And so I think after being back in the US, I was over there like a month later, re-prepping these cars for X-Raid for Dakar. So I worked on their Yamahas, these side-by-sides, which was a first and really cool because I could lift almost every part on these cars by myself, including the motor. Not quite the motor, but almost. So that was actually really nice.
I feel so much stronger here.
Yeah. So I went to Germany, helped get familiar with those things before Dakar, and went and played in the desert for almost a month.
So you got to tell me, or we got to tell the audience what the it's not infamous, the famous Dakar race is. So
the world's toughest race.
Yeah. And it is indeed the world's, I mean, it is incredible, the footage. It's probably one of the, I love how well it's covered too. And I don't know if that was always the case. I feel like I just like recently tuned in and really been focusing on it. So I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Like they do just a phenomenal job.
So there was actually a woman that I met and her name is Annie Seal and she's from Sweden. God, I hope I have that right. One of the coolest people I've ever met. She had been competing in Dakar on a motorcycle like 15 years ago. And she would tell these stories of just going through the desert and you're so deprived of sleep and you can't do anything but just, you have to fix your bike and set up your tent and all this stuff and you're just crying for no reason, or the baths that they have available are literally like these horse troughs with this much water in it, what is that, 6 inches? So she's like talking about rolling around in these troughs trying to get clean, but the cool thing about Annie is she was one of the first people that would document her motorsport experiences and put them on the internet. And so she has a website that she did her motorbike on Mount Everest and all kinds of stuff. But
I'll have to check this out.
So I think even back in the day when we didn't have like the social media access and stuff, like it was still very well documented somehow. Like
maybe it's just instilled in you. You're doing something.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. And this has to be documented.
Well, I think even my husband's grandmother had said something like, I was watching The Crown and Margaret Thatcher's son got lost in Dakar. And, so like even like that's, even non-car people at least are exposed in some way, shape, or form to this race.
Well, as soon as you hear about it, I don't think you forget about if you learn the details of what it is. So it's it's not always in the same location every year. Like, how many years has it been running?
Oh, gosh. I think WRC was 50. I think 75.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was originally the Paris-Dakar Rally. So it would go from Paris to Dakar. But because of the Taliban and stuff like that, they had to move it around the world. Because I think they have had it in Chile, Argentina, I think. Something like that. But yeah, so it was Saudi Arabia this year.
And that was, I think, is this the first year, at least first year in a long time that it's been back? Yeah. So that was it was exciting to see that we were going to get to experience that terrain. Yeah. And personally, I have a weird fascination with, I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people do. But because of the mystery behind the Middle East and kind of our inability to access certain things, it probably makes it even more exciting. Like, I want to know what's out there.
I don't even know. Yeah. Like, that's a good point. I don't know. Like, being over there, like, it's, if anything, they don't have a lot of access to what we do. Like, it's, because, like, for New Year's, they had on the giant Jumbotron, like karaoke. There's no alcohol in Saudi Arabia. Right. So you've got all these sober people doing karaoke on the stage. You're like, what the hell? But they're playing these music videos, and a lot of them are just blurred out. because of the content in these videos. So like as a woman over there, you have to have the head covering, no shoulders showing, all this other stuff. So there was a little bit of a concern, especially because I have like tattoos on my hands and stuff like that. My mom was genuinely scared, I think.
I think it's a justifiable. I mean, that makes sense. I've had enough. I mean, I know there is a way to do it. I've had friends who have gone over, female friends, and so I know that there is a pathway to going and experiencing it in some way. But it's definitely a heightened risk being a female in these cultures and environments.
Yeah.
But as far as just the location and the history behind these countries and the culture that's there, I think that's what really is fascinating to me. I mean, there's definitely some things I can critique about what's going on over there, but just as an overall experience.
Oh gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think, hey, I may never do this again, but I'm going.
Yeah, and that's kind of what my thought was on it. You know, I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to do this again. So let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was crazy. Like there's a couple times where you're behind these cars and you're like, is this guy drunk? The hell? We got to pass this guy. And then it's like a 7-year-old kid driving this truck. You're like, oh, no, it's just a child driving this vehicle. But yet women couldn't drive until 2019 over there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you have these 7-year-old kids driving like they're drunk, which are apparently a better choice than like a
female
grown woman.
Yeah, that's another topic. But so back to the race, though. The difficulty of the race is, or one of the many things, is that it's over 2 weeks. It's not like you go out on race day and
it's like full finish. 15 days.
Yeah, it's and it's nonstop. I know there's a is it a built-in rest day or is it?
Yeah, so they do have a rest day that's followed by the marathon.
Right, that's right.
Yes, yeah, and like this whole rally raid thing was so new to me. Apparently, like words like prologue and marathons are very common terms, but I'm over here like, what? Prologue is qualifiers, essentially. It's the start order. And then, they have the marathons that I didn't know about. So they go out for 2 full days without coming back to the service area. The drivers and co-drivers have to fix their own vehicles, no service crew, nothing. They set up their own camp. They're away from everybody, so we get a little bit of a break. Thank God. I was genuinely questioning my decision on going, I think, after day 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a challenge.
It was very, very hard. The cars weren't completely finished when they showed up. So we spent the first 5 days before the rally up fixing them. Oh. And I think I got 4 hours of sleep in the first 4 days.
Oh, man.
On top of getting very, very sick. Oh, no. I got very sick while I was there the first week.
Is that something just you picked up from
being everybody got super sick. Super sick. One guy ended up losing his voice for almost like the 2 weeks that we were there. And, oh God, it was awful. It was awful. So yeah, it was rough. And I might have cried a little bit. For a second.
Isn't that is such the curse of being a female? It's like, we can be as, hard as nails, like super determined, get in there. And it is when you get angry or frustrated, I don't know if our male counterparts understand the welling up of emotion that happens. And sometimes there's no stopping it.
Oh yeah, no, I was in the shower. I was in the cold shower. And I just was like, this fucking sucks. This is awful. I was just tired and I was sick and I couldn't, the times I could sleep, you're in a car, so you're not really asleep, and you're just sick as hell. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm questioning all my life choices.
Yeah. So, and then I think the whole 3 weeks there was actually genuinely 2 warm showers. So,
oh man.
And the showers that they have, which is, I feel like I can't complain at all compared to the stories that Annie was saying about rolling over in a bucket, more or less. But you're still in these little tiny stalls. So your clothes, you're sharing these rooms with men and women. So you can't just get naked outside of your little stall. So you have to make sure that you don't accidentally, I don't know, drop your clothes in the shower like I did the first night. And in order to not splash on your clothes, I've just decided to just huddle down and So I'm
It's a whole experience.
sick and crying.
You're gonna have PTSD just from the shower experience, I think.
Well, yeah, and like my hair, I got a lot of hair, so I'm like, how am I gonna deal with this? So
Oh man.
luckily I had it braided. So I didn't
The
have
whole
to deal
time.
with it for the most part.
Yeah.
But oh God. Yeah. So I cried a little bit there for the
I think we'll give you that.
But after the rest day, it was good. Like I was good to go for another like 2 weeks. Like I
Okay.
was good. And I was starting to feel better from getting sick. So I was like, all right, let's do this. Like I got it. We're good.
So please say you just had to get it out of your system.
I think I just had to get over the sickness and get a little bit of sleep. And
Then you were normal again. And I know you said you guys were working on the side-by-side, which I don't remember the classes for the actual names for these classes.
it was like technically they're called the T3 lightweight class.
Okay.
The T4 class is more of like a stock side-by-side that you could buy from the dealership.
All right.
Whereas the T3 lightweight classes are like a heavily modified race version.
Okay. Like more unlimited class.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of different classes involved in this. And the one having a little bit of like a touch with the motorcycle world as a kid with my dad. And I was always drawn to the motorcycle aspect because, and to be fair, they do lead the pack.
Oh my
Those
God, they're so amazing to watch.
they are the showstoppers, I think.
Well, I learned about Dakar with the trucks. Those big ass trucks.
They look like trash trucks or something.
Yeah. And watching these things go through the desert, I was just like, what is this? And that's how I learned about Dakar.
Yeah.
You know, and so I actually learned, I had no idea, but a lot of those trucks that you see are not actually there to race. Because part of the rules in Dakar is if you have a vehicle out and if you break down, you can carry spares, but like the only people that can help you are other competitors. So these teams that can afford it will enter in these giant trucks, pack them with all of their spare parts.
Oh.
Because they're the last class that goes out.
So they're just picking up whatever.
We had a T5 truck and we had a couple Yamahas break where we had a spare gearbox, spare diff. So the truck would come and help because they're competitors.
So they're a support team happens to kind of race.
That also race. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's super
Yeah,
interesting.
me neither. I learned that like halfway through. I'm like,
Oh.
what?
Okay. Well, that makes sense because they really don't seem like they should be out in that terrain. I mean, it doesn't seem like the race was designed around that vehicle. They are impressive to watch,
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
it's insane. But yeah, no, it's and there's a co-driver, a driver, and a mechanic that drives in those
Okay,
trucks.
so it
too.
really is a support team.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that would make sense because during this particular race, you guys got hit with a pretty gnarly rainstorm.
A couple times.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But I know that one, or at least the one I'm speaking of, was immediately caused flash floods and all kinds of chaos out in the field or on the course that day. And that makes sense because there was a couple of, were they side by sides or were they? I don't know.
all kinds of
It was like they reminded me of
prototypes
buggies or
Yep,
something,
yep.
but. They were out there, and the big trucks were pulling the little vehicle. So I'm now thinking if they were their support vehicles.
I mean, and even if they're not their designated support vehicles, a lot of the times competitors will stop and help each other.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the nature of that rally. Because back in the day, if no one helped you, you could die.
You still could die.
you still can. I mean, there was a guy that died this year, not a competitor, maybe a spectator that was not standing where he should have been, but people die. They still, it's. You need to. This is one thing that blew my mind. When I was in the workshop, I noticed that next to the driver's names, there's these letters. And I'm like, what the hell's with those letters? They're like, that's their blood type, Heather. I'm like, what? Yeah, because if you need a blood transfusion, they know what blood to put in you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when
I'm
you're
like, oh my
unconscious
God.
and laying in the middle of the desert, we need to know what to do. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think a lot of these competitors will help each other out just because it's like, dude, if it was you, you'd want the same, more or less. And
Well, and eventually, if
you don't want to be responsible for maybe someone potentially dying either when you could have helped them.
Yeah.
So
that was it was so. I mean, it's again, if you're not familiar with this sport, it's definitely something to go out and just look up Dakar and
gosh, it's so cool. But I like watching the bikes. Like I want to get a motorcycle. Like I'm the goal is to finish the trike to trade for a bike.
okay.
But like watching at first I'm like, I'm gonna get a Harley, which is still maybe on the table, but watching these bikes go through the dunes, I'm like, I think I need maybe a dual sport or something, because that is just so cool. I'm like, oh. It's like watching adults turn into children again and just playing with each other, like in the dunes, just cat and mouse play. Just was so cool to watch. I'm like, I think I need to do that kind of riding instead.
No, I've been a Toby Price fan forever, and he's had a couple of rough seasons at the Dakar. Not seasons. Hasn't always finished. Either has like some gnarly wreck where he's getting airlifted out, which is no fun, obviously. But it was really exciting to follow him this year and to watch. And again, I don't know what I'm watching, but they do such a great job of covering it. They you learn like what you're supposed to be watching for and what's good and bad, and lets you get real excited when you see like your guy, your driver, your whatever doing well. But it was so fun because his pace and the way he was running the course, staying up in the 1 to 3 spot.
Well, and I think that the gap there this year wasn't it less than like 2 seconds?
Yeah. Oh, it was. It was wild, and it was
for a 15-day race. That's insane.
And for like 2 days, it was like they had a couple of minutes in between them, and you know how that like it literally can just be someone takes a slight wrong turn and has to correct, and the guy behind him is gone. So it was super exciting, but it was so fun to hear the commentators be like, he's running the race like when he'd won in years past. And so like, you're like, oh my gosh, he's doing it again. He's doing it again. And the heartbreak of by seconds, he lost it this year.
That's right. That's racing, man.
No, it is.
It's so heartbreaking. Cause I had 2 cars, 2 vehicles I worked on, didn't finish.
Okay.
The first one didn't make it through the first day.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they rolled it too bad to fix.
Okay.
And we probably could have, but it was one of those, a tactical decision. We're day 1 into this. Like, are we going to risk another event with this vehicle? And then are we sacrificing parts for perhaps other crew members that are doing very well? So it's kind of, it's pretty crazy what kind of decisions like that need to be made.
And they're probably made pretty quickly. I mean...
They in theory, they should be, because the mechanics are like, are we fixing it or not? What are we doing?
Right.
We have all night to do this. Like, we got to make a choice right now.
Right.
So I got moved to a different car after that because they decided to use it for spare parts in worst case situations. And I think it was like 3 days left. And
you lost the other one.
They lost the other one. Yeah. So I got to go back now and work on a car that'll finish.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm a fan for life on that one. Do you know where the next one? Have they announced where the next one's planned to be? Okay.
Yeah, but I have a whole new respect, honestly, because at first, the motorcycles, they're alone, navigating, driving, but then I learned about this Male Moto class. Have you heard about this one? Male Moto. It's French, and I guess Male in French is box.
Okay.
And so I think this year it was a different class. But it's more or less like a solo class. And these guys or girls, there was a woman from South Africa that competed and finished. And she did this class. And you have a box. And that's your tools and your parts. And that's all that you get. You don't get any help. You get one other person, but they can't even help you set up your own tent. They can't help you work on the motorcycle. They can't help you. They're there for moral support and maybe photos.
Is that a class? I think I remember hearing. Maybe I caught a blip of this. Is this a class that you just choose to do it without? It's just without support.
Yes,
basically.
Yes.
Okay.
The organizers have a designated spot for you to pull your bike in, and there's a tent already set up for you for the bike itself. But as far as your sleeping accommodations, everything is on your own. There's one guy there that watches, make sure no one else is working, but he can also help you if you need it.
Okay.
But other than that, that's it. That's all you get.
For
You are the
15 days.
Navigator, driver, mechanic, logistics you're on your own.
Do you think that creates more of just an endurance type race for that individual? Because you're probably being a little more conservative on, you're not going all out.
I mean, you've got to be, I would imagine. But then again, these guys are nuts. There was a couple American guys that I met. One of them was walking around a neck brace yeah, dude. Oh my God, are you okay?
You do have to. There's definitely a little bit of crazy built into anybody who's driving this thing, because it does. I mean, what you experienced was a part of that, like just coming in this whole different experience. It's not luxury,
No.
I know it's not completely roughing it on your own, but it's going to be a little rougher than norm.
Yeah.
And you're in this country that has seasons and climates and storms that I don't know if we're really...
They just come out of nowhere. Well, and like what I was told about the desert out there is it gets so dry that even when it does rain, it won't soak in the water at first. And that's how they get the flash flooding. Okay. And then when everything finally starts to soak in, then you're not going anywhere, because they had to completely cancel one of the BVAC areas. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we essentially ended up with 2 marathons and 2 rest days.
Right. And yeah, that was right. I mean, it was literally...
And the motorbikes and quads weren't allowed to go out.
Right.
Because it
would have been chaos. Yeah. Everyone would have been stuck. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And to another point to how crazy the motorcycles are, they do go first. They lead the pack. They're the first ones out every day. And I think what I think is so crazy is we're talking about a race in the desert, which means there's not a road you're on.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but this shit's insane to me.
It's just like hills and when I say hills, like dune hills, just for miles, or some of the most inhospitable looking crag rock, like Mordor looking environments. Some of the aerials were just absolutely incredible. And these guys are flying on a motorcycle with their navigation, no tracks in front of them. No one has gone before this. No. And they're plotting the course. Yeah. And so everyone who is going behind them, all the other classes, if you're doing it right, you have the benefit, or if you pick the right set of tracks.
Hopefully this guy knows what he's doing.
Right. If you pick the wrong one, you're in trouble. But I just, so much respect for those moto guys, and especially the ones that were in front.
Yeah.
Because you are cutting the trail.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's crazy.
I don't even know how to I can't even conceptualize that experience.
Yeah, I mean, some of the terrain that we would drive, like, you think Saudi Arabia, purely sand dunes, but I'll be honest, I don't think I saw a sand dune until after the first week I was there.
Yeah.
It was mountains with jagged rocks and like random oases with palm trees. Oases?
I'm gonna
What's
go
the
with
plural?
I don't know. Oh.
Anyway.
They didn't teach you that over there?
No. But yeah, and so like these random like Mordor looking rocks will pop out of these sand dunes sometimes. Like I remember watching one of the Audis go by, because technically the team I was with ran the Yamaha team, the Mini Cooper team, and the Audi team.
Okay.
So we were watching some of the footage, and one of the Audis, like just beautiful dunes, just sand, and then out of nowhere there's this rock, and he picks it up out of the ground, and it's like this jagged. I'm like, where the fuck did that come from?
Right. Well, if that's in the sand dune, I mean, imagine you take a wrong turn and hit something that's just barely out. Like,
yeah. I mean, in Shakedown, we hit something, and it was just Shakedown. Like, oh God, are we going to make it? Well, we didn't. First day.
So you've already said you want to go back so you can have a vehicle that finishes. What was, I mean, being a female in that country, but I also, you weren't as close, you weren't like going through cities a lot. You were out in the desert.
Yeah.
So what is the experience with the culture of a Middle Eastern country? Coming in as a bunch of
I think, like I said, like before, the issue is like when you have the events like this that are an international thing, the rules are a lot different. Like they just had the World Cup over there too. That's right. And so there was actually a point where me, one of my co-drivers, and the physio, we were kind of like the group of gals.
I don't know what a physio is.
Like the doctor. She did chiropractic services, like acupuncture, all that kind of stuff.
That makes sense.
Sorry. But there was one within like 500 meters. We were looking for a cup of coffee. So we had bounced across the street a couple times in this plaza. And one of them noticed that we were being followed by the police. She's like, oh God, I think we need to go back. I'm like, I think they're there because of like to watch us and not like do anything to it.
Just making sure everything.
Yeah. Cause like if something happened during, that'd be a huge PR nightmare. And then, because they're trying to, I think, kind of economically be available for events like that. And if weird shit, like females go missing and
Yeah.
Dakar, I don't think that would go over very well.
It appears they're trying to change the like impression,
Yeah.
which is funny. I mean, not funny. It's interesting because it's like, okay, so you'll let foreign women come in and not be messed with, but your own.
But the own ladies there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no issues for you.
No, none. No, I mean, like, the only weird thing was a dude walked in front of me in the grocery store line like I didn't exist. But I'm like, all right, you can go first.
It's not worth it.
That's cool. And they had their phones out, but I don't know if it's because you were blonde or with no headdress. But yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like Kim Kardashian with the paparazzi.
You were this rare thing.
Oh, God, yeah, I was
So you guys didn't have to cover your hair when you were... Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Nope. There was like one time I got out to use the bathroom at one point and I was wearing shorts and like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Don't push your luck.
Can we just... And to be honest, the one public restroom I found for ladies, I think I would have rather just gone in the side of the road anyways. So we just went off to the side of the road.
That's
Did our
fine.
thing. It was easy.
I feel like that's peeing on the side of the road or using the forest.
Some they're a little cleaner anyways in public restrooms, so I'm good.
That we probably talk about using the outdoors as a restroom too much on this podcast, but we're gonna dive into it
When
again. But
nature calls.
it's so true though. Like we have all, like a lot of us have made this decision. Like I would much rather just like keep driving into the forest or wherever we need to go than pull off at the mobile gas station, because like, man, I walked in some of those and walked right out. You're like, this is not happening.
Oh.
Nature is so much more hospitable to this.
Yeah.
So you were there for 2 weeks. So as the crew, do you guys like the racers seem to get all of? Well, I don't know. They show up, they do the race, they get to have the party at the end. I mean, everyone's just excited. And I know everyone's included in that. It's just like we finished is probably
Yeah, right.
the overwhelming theme of that. But what is as a crew member? What is your responsibility? As like, how long do you guys have to stay longer? Are you wrapping more up?
No, we literally. I mean, once we got done with the podium, we're like, let's get the hell out of here.
Okay.
Take me home. Yeah, no, I think I left literally the next day.
Right away. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess because I'm curious about that, because I think the level of financial backing for these types of race seems to be a lot. Is that
So
not the
fun
case?
fact about motorsport, most of motorsport, other than like actual manufacturing teams, are all just tax write-offs for old, like rich guys that have a race car hobby.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, they need to write off some money. So like, I got a race team. That's the easiest way to spend money. I'll tell you that.
For sure.
It's very, very easy.
Are there financial limits within the classes or
I know in F1 they do actually. There's a cap on how much you can spend. But with these, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been a part of any series where I've heard of any caps.
So it's just really whatever your budget is and what you want to come in with.
Okay. So Dakar, yeah, that was definitely the wildest motorsport experience I've ever had. I've never had my ass beat so much and enjoyed it.
Okay. And then we're done.
So actually, while I was at Dakar, one of the guys that I had become really good friends with, he had suggested, he's like, why don't you start co-driving? Because as a co-driver, you need to know how to work on the cars also.
Okay.
And you have really great co-drivers and really great mechanics, and finding the combination of the two is very, very rare. So he's like, you should start co-driving. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, who the hell is going to throw me in their friggin' car? No, not having any experience. Okay, so crazy thing. My sister's boyfriend races in the Baja events, and he's been a co-driver for about 10 years.
Okay.
So I was like, Andy, I got this wild idea. He's like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. You got to go here and put an ad here. I'm like, okay. So I put this ad out on Race Desert or desertrace.com. I don't freaking know. And within 24 hours, I got a call from some guy who races in a trophy truck class. And he is like, I'm looking for a co-driver for the Baja 1000. I'm like,
are you doing it?
So we start testing in 2 months. and I need to figure out how the hell to pay for a fucking race suit and a helmet and all this stuff because I'm going to the Baja 1000. Yeah.
I love it.
I am also involved with the Jessi Combs Foundation.
Okay.
And when we were out at King of the Hammers, I was telling them about this, and they're like, well, why don't you drive? I'm like, again, who the hell is going to throw me in one of their cars? No experience, really. And my sister's boyfriend apparently failed to mention that he has a 1600 class sitting in Mexico that needs to be finished, that he would love to start racing again. I'm like,
this is meant to be. You were doing
well,
this.
Andy, I'm like, you want to go racing again? So we are in the process of like fixing this friggin' car. And in 2024, we're going to go racing.
I love it.
Thanks, Andy. I get to drive your race car, and he's going to be my co-driver. And in the meantime, this year, You're
going to start with co-driving.
So you're still going to do the co-driving. I'm still going to do co-driving.
Okay. Is that involved navigation?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is why I'm actually like really excited about it, because co-driving in stage rally is very different.
Okay.
Because stage rally, you have to stay on pace. Like there is a pace and you have to stay on it. And I don't think I could do that. So this navigation is what really interests me, because I like being thrown in the shit if I have to work on the car. I don't know what it is, but I really like being pushed. And the navigation side is definitely something that I think I have a better grasp of.
Okay.
So I'm not completely putting my tools down yet. And I'm gonna be in the car this time instead of outside.
But what a great, that seems like the perfect pathway to driving.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just jumping right in.
Well,
which I have a feeling you could do for some reason.
I'm very confident in being able to do that, because right before I quit autocrossing, I co-drove a car with another woman who had been a multiple national champion for autocrossing. And I was not that far behind her, and I had never had any seat time in this car. So I'm like, if I just have the right trainer and enough time, I think I could do this. I think I could do it. But yeah, so I am also speaking with another group of gentlemen there who are trying to get 6 races in this year. They're just, the funding thing. We just got to find the right dude trying to get rid of enough money.
I know. I'll let you know if I hear of it.
But yeah, there's a group of guys there. They're called The Gentleman's Guide to Racing.
Okay.
So I will be part of this group. And we're doing the cross-country rallying and stuff like that.
Okay. So you're going to be busy.
Yeah. So I'm still like freelancing and working on cars, but I'm also like trying to drive and co-drive. We'll just see what happens this next year.
I am all in for this. This is going to be entertaining.
It's going to be wild, man. So
you mentioned the Jessi Combs Foundation.
Yeah.
What's your connection with that?
So I was part of their first year of scholarship winners, because I thought it would be a great idea to go back to school and go work in WRC. That only lasted a semester. But I won a scholarship through them.
Okay.
And they were, it's not just like, here's your money, go to school and kick ass. It's like a support group. And like being overseas, it was really, really hard to be able to vent the same issues that I was having to my husband or someone with the same language, if that makes sense.
Okay.
As open and as my husband and I are about my experiences, there were certain things I was dealing with at the time that I didn't want to communicate via phone, if that made any sense. There's weird things that you kind of have to navigate being that far away from your partner when it comes to their sanity also. So this was a group of girls that I could genuinely just let loose with and get advice from, or just have someone to listen to. And so there's that, but like they helped another girl find another job. She was in a really, really awful situation. So it's more than just like a scholarship.
It's a support system.
It's a support system. And so when I was at King of the Hammers and I was telling them about this whole new experience, they're like, well, let's see what we can do to help you. So like, it's cool. If you want a scholarship, you can take the money and run, do whatever you want. That's cool. But there's also like this other side of it. It's like the sorority that you never had that you didn't know you wanted. Kind of.
That's awesome.
So it's a really cool foundation. So I'm actually going to be going out to Phoenix actually at the end of the month. One of Jessi's old Jeeps that she competed in King of the Hammers with, she actually won the Everyman Challenge in it. It was donated back to the foundation.
Okay.
So we're going through the Jeep. Actually, the girls are out there right now tearing it apart, inspecting everything, and they're trying to get it ready for an event at the beginning of April.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
And so there's rumors that they're going to be putting some of the girls in there just to kind of get them introduced to the world of off-roading and motorsports. And yeah,
I
so
like it.
I get to be part of that. I'm actually really, really excited.
Like your giving back moment.
Yeah, well, Jessi was a huge, huge reason why I did do what I do. Did you
have a relationship with Jessi, or was it?
I got to meet her only at SEMA once, to be honest, but it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. She's just like she is on TV, I feel like. And like being involved with the foundation, you hear stories from like personal friends. Like when we were at King of the Hammers, like that was her backyard. So you got guys that would compete up against her. And there was a guy that came up and like, oh yeah, Jessi, man, I was too slow for her. She ran me right up the ass, let me know she was there. I had to get the hell out of her way. And then like, guys telling stories about how their daughters like did school reports on her and they dressed up as Jessi for Halloween and like just all this really cool stuff. So like it does, like my mission is to be someone that, girls can reach out to if they're having issues with or guidance or whatever. And I'm not going to start my own thing if there's already something existing. So like that's, I think, also why I kind of hold the foundation so dear. Because it's the same thing for what I stand for, you know, and they've done so much for me. I'm like, this is a great way to do what I can to give back.
Yeah. And for those who are listening and don't have any point of reference for what we're talking, Jessi was someone who was involved in motorsports and in the garage and one of the lone females typically in whatever she was doing, but was probably most known for her land speed record.
Yeah, or world's fastest woman on four wheels.
On four wheels. Yeah, because there's definitely there's a lot of classes in that too. I had no idea how many classes were doing that. But so unfortunately, while going after a record, had an untimely death. But her life was such an impact. Just how she lived and the message she had. I think it is really cool to see how it's still impacting women and inspiring women today.
It's she died. We got married at Dirtfish.
Did you?
Yeah. We got married at Dirtfish. And so she was like just the state below us, and her accident was like 3 or 4 days before we got married. So remember I was up there and I like saw the news, and it was the first time that I ever had like a celebrity death genuinely hurt. And I never understood like when like, these musicians or TV stars, they die and like these people are like, oh my God. I'm like, you didn't even know that person. But then again, like I get it now. Like if someone means that much to you or was a big change or a reason for something really cool in your life, like I get it. And so like it actually was up until recent where I could actually talk about her and not cry. So, it was, I don't know, like she was just doing what we do. We don't have a lot of really cool women doing that kind of shit. So like and when you lose a genuinely really awesome person.
And like I say that, untimely, like it really felt like, I mean, it was like, I mean, and as it often is when people inspire us, a lot of times they are like, it feels like they're taken from us too soon. Yeah. But it wasn't, it just felt like, but I also know it wasn't she wasn't unaware of what she was doing and the risk that was involved. And everyone knew the gravity of what could happen. So it was like, this is part of it. This is part of the risk.
I think she fully was aware. Was fully willing for that outcome. Yeah. I mean, you
accepting.
have to be.
Yeah, she was accepting of whatever outcome
She's
happened.
like, this is worth it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And that is crazy
Yeah.
to think about. Like, you're going to put your life on the line just to break a friggin' land speed record? But it wasn't just for that.
No.
You know, if you think about it.
I mean, that's the record title. That's
Yeah.
what will live forever. But I think it was just
for girls like me
Yeah.
and the other scholarship winners and the other girls who are on the fence line about whether or not that's a career path they want to take. Because, like, I mean, I was going through messages the other day. I'm trying to make my pitch deck, you know? So I found a message from a high school girl years ago. And she's like, I didn't know if this is what I wanted to do, but I see that you get to do what you do. And so she's like, I decided to get a job in a shop, and I've been working in a shop now for about a year, and I love it. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, that is fucking cool, you know? And it's shit like that that really kind of makes me keep going, because there's a lot, a huge reason. I don't think I've actually really openly talked about it, but a huge reason why I decided to go freelance and not be a full-time employee anymore is because of the drama that I have to deal with unfortunately, the people that matter in the company. And what I mean by that is I have had number one mechanics complain about my presence on social media. And I've had team owners complain about my presence on social media. And I don't know what the fuck it is about social media that people get so goddamn angry over. But it's like, I'm literally doing this because there are so many young ladies out there who are completely discouraged by your shit attitude. And if you guys just embrace it for just a little bit, maybe get to know who I am as a person. Because I'm sorry, but if you believe everything you see on social media, you're an idiot. No one's going to share their nitty-gritty details with you on social media. They're only going to show you the best of what they have to offer.
the highlight reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, I'm not going to share my dirty, nitty-gritty bullshit life that no one genuinely actually cares about. And so Heather's on social media too much, or we're doing the same job she is, but yet why is she on the company's website and I'm not? Or Heather's on social media. It's the freaking social media, and I just don't understand it. But yet at the same time, it's such a great tool to show and support for these girls that are trying to get into the industry. Because if there's more girls, then the less of a freak show it's like. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and the WRC, you're at this world stage and level, and like, it's just incredible to be there, male or woman. But when you are the only woman in the service area, naturally the cameras are drawn towards you. And I understand the frustration of not being recognized for doing the same job. I get it. Trust me. But like, just having a little bit of patience about this new change in history could do everybody a favor, because maybe more women will be invited into the industry. And then maybe it's not such a freak show to the camera guys. It's never going to be 50-50.
Well, and I do
get that.
I totally hear what you're saying. I mean, I think there is women in male dominated areas will always get more attention. It's just like you said, it's unique. It's people don't see it. So the camera gets like, you get extra attention. I think it's funny sometimes, because sometimes I'll hear women say like, oh, like they don't get certain like advantages because it's in a male. And I'm like, no. If you know how to navigate it well, trust me, companies are more than happy to work with women.
Yes.
And there are places, and I get it, there are other challenges we have to deal with. But as an encouragement to women who are seeing this stuff, it's like, no, trust me, there are companies and groups and places that you can go that are excited to bring a woman on board and to, I mean, unfortunately, people are desperate to have, like, they want to have diversity now. So, take advantage of this moment where...
And there was actually a point where I was like, I'm tired of being recognized for having a vagina, And, like, Bogey actually was super cool. She called me to talk to me about this because I'm like, I don't know who else to reach out to. Like, Jessi's not here. You're doing really freaking cool shit. Like, I need someone to help guide me on this, And she's like, look, I get it. you know, you just want to be recognized for your skills. But at the same time, like there's so many opportunities that aren't given to women. Just take every opportunity you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, that's actually because of her advice, I decided to apply for the Jessi Combs Scholarship.
Got it. Okay.
So I was like, okay, all right.
But,
like,
I guess back to that point, women telling their story. And, you know, we're talking about Jessi, and her story is obviously living on, and like you having now these great experiences. And I definitely wanted, like, let's capture this moment for you. Like, let's bring on and have this story told. I would love people to hear about it. Well, because I think this is inspiring. If it doesn't matter, I don't need people to mimic me. And I know you'd be the same. Like, you're not asking people to do exactly what you do. But I do think it takes women speaking about these things and being honest, saying these are the struggles, but these are the benefits. These are things you can take advantage of.
There's way more pros than cons. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
And go for it. Like, just go for it. Take the risk and know that, like, if you make a mistake, you can always turn around. You can always pivot. Yeah. Coming from a female voice, I think that's so important that we keep telling those stories.
Well, and I think it's important enough to be at least headstrong enough too. Like, for example, like I got super freaking frustrated with this whole social media thing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, this is great. This is actually a good thing because they see us as an equal. Mm-hmm. I mean, why else would they get pissy? They're doing this, you know what I mean? Like,
you just
I mean, there is one other thing, but but I mean, yeah, like they see us as equals, and they're just they're like, I don't understand. She's doing the same thing I am, but yet why is she being featured and I'm not? Like, this is freaking weird. Yeah. And so, like, it does feel good. I'm like, thanks, dude. Like, thanks. Like, we are on the same level. Like, I get it. Yeah. Like, I do understand it, but if they have a little bit patience, maybe it'll be a little bit more welcoming, and then not so weird. Yeah. For people to see more than one lady, and because like by the time I left WRC, M Sport had another female mechanic too. Yeah. And, like, that was really cool to me. I don't know.
You're like, hey, we're the same.
I'm like, yes, I want to work with you guys. There's another chick over there.
No, it's changing. It's changing. And I think anybody who's on the, forefront or at the beginning stages of those changes is going to feel all of these uncomfortable growing pains. Yeah. But it's just another challenge. Mm-hmm. Every human being's got them. Everything we go after is going to throw obstacles in our way.
If you know anyone looking to like publish a book or do a movie, I have it all written down.
You got it. Well, you've got a couple more chapters to add to this.
I do. I know. Everyone's like, when are you going to publish the book? I'm like, I think I have a lot left.
Yeah. You can't write yet. I mean, you can start writing, but you can't finish that book.
I've been writing for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been keeping track of all of the little experiences.
You have to. I mean, even if it's just for your own, like.
Yeah, and that's where it started out as. Yeah. But I had an English teacher. It was an English assignment. And she's like, you need to keep doing this.
Oh, I'm going to bug you regularly that this better be a thing.
Yeah, it's like 100 pages.
Yeah. I like it.
Fuck it.
Okay, so next time we're going to have Heather on. She's going to have a book.
How to Travel the World for Free.
Hey. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us and sharing your story. And I honestly, this is going to be so fun to just watch you as like a genuine fan of like, whatever you're doing, I'm in.
Yeah. And, I think I was pretty good about the cuss words, but it still might be a decent drinking game.
We'll put it out on social media. We'll find out how that went.
Responsibly.
Well, thanks again. And Glover, we ran out of time.